So ICAC Performance Standards Part 3, I keep being cut off every time I look back at the document. So I had to do some creative printing. So on page 229 and 30 of the COPS, the Community Policing Division report of October 2007, it talks about the negative possibilities of reactive stings. That is, you're right in front of somebody, and not necessarily a sex sting. You're doing any kind of investigative work where you can see your adversary, you can set up the sting, you've got police various places, you have lookouts, you have decoys, whatever. And it talks about how how perilous that is in preserving people's rights. Negative features of sting operations. Number one, they do not reduce or prevent recurring crime problems. Few scientific studies of stings have shown that particular crimes were prevented long term. The crime goes down, and they assume, they say, according to the researchers at Department of Justice, that, oh, it was because of the stings, but it was very temporary, and then crime goes up, or if it goes down with the presence of other factors. So it's not effective in what it's doing. Okay? This is just a concern they have too. It may increase, therefore, the amount of crime because it appears like the crime is going up after a short period of time, so it may give a false positive. It may also encourage others in the area who see things going down that this is a place that's acceptable for crime because they see a supposed drug dealer who's actually a cop on the corner. So they have to be very, very careful with this. It let's see. It may be deemed unethical. The ethical deficit of sting operations, their detractors most often put forward, is that the use of deception is simply another form of lying, and lying is morally wrong, period. They're sensitive to these issues. They are not at all sensitive to these issues in the digital world, where you can be hidden away and hide behind a persona and never show your actual face, and that you have the person who's making a phone call being a police officer, the person whose persona is in the picture is a youthful picture of a police officer, that the person who's directing the conversation is another police officer, and you have a whole team in the back office setting up the sting. Okay? The ethical deficit is real. It's worse if the deceiver, quote, holds a government office. Police defend their actions on two main grounds: the moral and social benefits of a successful sting, and citizens have given the police the right to use a degree of coercion to protect the community. If only the public knew how that was being abused. And deception is soft coercion, right? Another problem is government may overreach. Is it the government's role to construct enticements and situations that encourage all citizens to commit a crime? That's what they're doing on the proactive stings. This was written in 2007. By 2008, it was part of their operational standards. By 2012, it was still there. And after 2012, by 2016 and 17, as the pressure was mounting from Congress and others, there's no mention of constitutional protections at all. There's no interest in any of these protections at all. They have completely pulled that out of the operational manual. Don't worry about anything. Do whatever you want. Okay? Sting operations involve privacy issues as another element here. The invasion of privacy is much greater in sting operations because police surreptitiously collect far more information about non-offenders as well as offenders, and in many instances where there are no offenders at all until the sting operation reaches a critical point. Do citizens have a right not to be spied on? Why, yes, it's called the Fourth Amendment. Get that, folks? There's an odd ethical problem in policing that is intensified by sting operations that rely almost entirely on these tactics. Exactly what they're doing in proactive stings, folks. Wake up. It's happening. There are finally entrapment issues as well. Entrapment is very often cited as an issue, and that can cause them to lose cases. I won't go into all the subjective and objective issues involving qualified immunity they go into here, but they also say even though they're very popular, they may be mitigated by the use of other more effective policing techniques. This is 29 and 30 of this particular documentation. So again, folks, I'm just reading to you what their own, so I got to plug myself in here, what their own operational guidelines say. And what's further, you can look at another document here, okay? They have a memorandum in the police where they're talking about, let's see, a memorandum with a Virginia county here, and this is what they say in that memorandum in that piece, right? They say here under undercover investigations. This is the memorandum of agreement between the Southern Virginia ICAC operation and the county of Prince George. And this is what it says. You'll love this. It says undercover investigations. During online dialogue, undercover officers should allow the investigative target to set the tone, pace, and subject matter of the online conversation. Image or video transfers shall be initiated and executed by the target. That's not what's happening. In Ryan Pick's case, they showed him how to commit a crime and he didn't realize he was committing it. They were telling him how to do it. They were saying, we're going to use a peer to peer sharing file. And he said, I don't know anything about that. I'm not interested in any of those things. They said, oh, do this and then do this and then do the other thing. That's what the officer said he did. Exactly counter to what the memoranda of agreement that they have all these other counties sign with their police departments to gain access to ICAC's resources. So again, from the community policing office of the Department of Justice to um, the operational standards that they have written, where there's a consciousness of guilt, where they're aware that they're violating rules, to the Bloomington Police Department that carefully crafts and leaves out this big chunk about what the police did to get the responses that are so naughty that they're reading. Okay? What did they do? And you might say, well, the people shouldn't have said that. I agree. They should probably have said that. Absolutely. But we don't know why they said it. We don't know what they were told. We don't know under what circumstances. But we do know police leave out a big chunk of information. And when they're forced to turn over all their evidence, they very often don't. Or they say, we lost it, we erased it, it was corrupted, it's not available. Okay? We know all of that. Why don't we just stop the proactive stings in places where people are acting lawfully until you get a tip that they're not? Why don't you do it that way? That way, you don't violate anybody's rules. You don't violate any community standards. You don't violate the law. You don't violate the Constitution. You get along better with the community that way, and you don't destroy innocent lives. Why don't you do that? So I'm going to post these down below in the final segment here, and maybe in each one we'll see, and you can read them for yourself and tell me what you think about them. Okay, this is ICAC Unpacked. I'm Norman Michael Asian for the 12th day of December 2025. Have a nice day. I'm sorry, 12th day of January 2025. Have a nice day.